بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We reach chapter 173 of Riyadh as-Saliheen. The author, Al-Hafidh al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy upon him, he says, باب ما يدعو به إذا خاف ناسا أو غيرهم. What is the supplication when you're afraid of someone or something? What supplication should you make when there's fear? i.e. خوفا لا يصل بالإنسان إلى حد السر خوف الضمير الذي هو شرك وكفر بالله. خوف طبيعي إن شئت إن خفتم أن يفتنكم الذين كفروا. خائفا يترقب هذا اسمه خوف عادي خوف طبيعي. So what supplication do you make when you're afraid of someone or something? i.e. a fear which is natural. And it isn't a fear which is supernatural. And it isn't a fear which dominates you and controls you. i.e. it's natural fear, that's human nature. You don't have to be a coward to be scared of something, or to move, or to flinch, or to go into a defensive position or crouching. It doesn't make you a coward. A coward will be someone who's afraid to do what he or she needs to do. Versus a person could say, I fear such and such. I'm afraid such and such. I'm scared that I'll such and such. That's not the same as a person being a coward, in which he has fear in his heart, and which you feel or think that someone or something besides Allah has the ability to harm you in a paranormal, supernatural way. A paranormal, supernatural way with someone who has divine power. Power that's equal to Allah, similar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is called, according to the ulama of Islam, khawfu sir. Khawfu sir, in which a person is trembling and afraid and terrified and petrified of someone or something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's shirk. As far as natural fear, caution, that's a different story. And for argument's sake, a person could be afraid of someone, and being scared of someone doesn't make you a coward. What makes a coward is you succumbing to your fear. So I'm going to fight you even though I'm scared of you. And I won the fight. Being a coward versus I want to run away from you and I'm not going to fight you because I'm scared of you. So two different levels. And a person can be brave with some fears as well. And for someone to claim that they have no fear whatsoever, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that can be a valid claim. A person has no fear whatsoever. You can't see my fears. I hide them from you. I mask them. But somehow, some way, as a human being, there has to be some button that can be touched on you. Something that can be pressed on you. That's a fact. Also, caution, prudence, intelligence. These things aren't to be confused with cowardice, nor is cowardice to be confused with caution. Just like bravery, there's a thin line between bravery and recklessness and stupidity. That's not brave, that's stupid. And of course, there's going to be an argument from person to person. Your bravery is his recklessness. Why are you fighting? You're the underdog, just give up, just quit. Person says, no, that's being a coward. So that's going to differ from what? Person to person. What's important is the hero feeling the same thing, the coward feeling the same thing, the hero moving forward, and the coward staying still or turning his back. So Islam offers us a perfect opportunity to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of these natural human emotions. And this is very relevant when you travel. As we have previously explained, from the benefits of traveling is that it takes you outside of your comfort zone. And the general rule is that when you, as a man or a woman, go outside of your comfort zone, you grow and you mature. And you stay within your comfort zone, you stagnate. You stagnate. You can't grow in comfort. You only grow through uncomfort. That's why we say growing pains. Growing pain. So So you become better, smarter, faster, quicker, based off of the challenge that you face. Certain animals, obviously, we're talking about humans, but we're just making an example. A reptile, a lizard, a turtle, certain things, they don't grow if the tank is too small. You have to get a larger tank for their body to grow. So that's a human being. You stay with that what you're familiar with, the people who know you, your own religion, your own race, people who agree with everything you say, you're not going to become a better speaker. You become a better speaker by speaking to people who disagree with you. You become a better public speaker by speaking to people who aren't from your demographic, who aren't of your age, who have a different background. And if you can reach them and touch them and convince them, that proves and shows what? That you have strength in your oratory. Versus I'm talking to people who are of similar age, similar race, similar background. Everybody's shaking their head, nodding their head. That's an echo chamber. You don't grow like that. So traveling brings the best out of man. And this is why we have these different rulings and this etiquette, these manners. And from that is to make dua in the previous chapter and make dua when something causes you to have fear. The hadith states, عن أبي موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا خاف قوما قال اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم رواه أبو داود والنسائي بإسناد صحيح. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu stated, he reported, he narrated that whenever the Messenger of Allah was afraid of a people, the Rasul, when he was afraid of a people, an enemy, an adversary, he would say, Allahumma inna naj'aluka fi nuhurihim wa na'udhu bika min shururihim. He would say, oh Allah, we place you in their throats and we seek your refuge from their evil. Oh Allah, we implore you, we beg you, we ask you to strike them, to attack them in their throats. You're our greatest weapon. You're our strongest ally. You're our sharpest weapon that we have. Oh Allah, handle them. Fi nuhurihim. And at the same time, we seek your protection from them touching our throats, from them being harmful to us. No, he says this hadith is collected by Imam Abu Dawud and Imam al-Nasai with an authentic chain. The highlighting point from the hadith, because the hadith here, it doesn't say anything about traveling. It doesn't mention anything about traveling. So what's the connection between the hadith and the chapter heading? We're in the book of traveling, the etiquette of traveling, the manners of traveling. The hadith says nothing about safar. But it says when he feared a people, he would say. So what's the connection between the hadith and the chapter? And then of course the book. Fear of traveling? Let's repeat the hadith, listen carefully. عن أبي موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا خاف قوما. Abu Musa, the companion, reported, whenever the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم خاف قوما, when he's afraid of a people, he would say, قال اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. Oh Allah, we ask you to be at their throats, and we ask you to protect us from their harm and from their evil. Where does the hadith mention or state traveling? Or does it say anything about a journey? It doesn't say he said this on a journey. So what's the connection?
When you travel, maybe you have shady people.
When you travel, you're more prone to meeting shady people than at home. I know plenty of shady people at home. Plenty. But for argument's sake, what's the connection? ما المناسب بين الحديث والباب؟ expedition. يعني الحديث ليس فيه أي ذكر للسفر. كيف يعني؟ بشكل عام خاف قوما ماشي، لكن في السفر باب ما يدعو به إذا خاف ناسا أو غيرهم، يعني حالة السفر، لأن في كتاب السفر ما المناسبة.
حتى في حالة المقيم إقامة أيضا إذا خفت من الناس.
إلا بس هو جعله في كتاب السفر.
في كتاب السفر.
What's the connection? Anybody got a guess? All right. So when the Prophet feared a people, i.e., an adversary, a tribe, a clan, a rebellious, a rival, a hostile group of people that he was going to, he was already traveling, call them to Islam. They're going to retaliate. They're going to fight. They're going to set an ambush to him when he was traveling. Because in Medina is relatively safe and known. Who the Munafiqun were. Who the Yahud were. Who the Mushrikun were. Who the Sahaba were. So it's relatively what? And even if not safe, but it was stable. You knew who was, when you're traveling, there are too many things which are unknown variables. And that goes back to the benefit of what? Traveling. If you can travel well as a man, then you're going to be a better and stronger, smarter man when? At home. If you can manage with money on the road, you do better what? If you can make your salah on time and be conscious of Allah when you're traveling, you can what? La shak. If you can fear Allah and know where your gaze when you're traveling, you should be able to do it what? Because nobody knows me when I'm traveling. It's easy for me to look at and do things that are haram. Nothing is stopping me but taqwa. Nothing. I'm out of state. Nobody knows me. Nobody recognizes me. But if I'm in my neighborhood, if I go to do something haram, you're going to say, hey, wait a second, isn't that? For him now, so traveling sharpens you. It makes you better. And this is why they say a rolling stone gathers no moss. A rolling stone gathers no moss. The stone is always rolling. It's going to be moss free. The stone sits still. It's stagnated. What grows upon it? And the moss will eventually dominate and take over that what? That rock. But the rock that's on the move is what? It's clean. هكذا الإنسان. It's a human being. تفضل.
مثلا غالبا القطاع الطرق يتعرضون للمسافرين حتى.
Highway robbers. People that would rob you, stick you up. 40 thieves, Alibaba and them, right? Arabian Nights. That would take place when people what? Travel. Traveling then is nothing like traveling now. Rest stops, lights, state troopers. It was well known. Muslims would, the highway seas, the pirates, right? Privateers, they would pull it over or face our cannons. You choose which one to hold on to, your life or your gold. So traveling was very dangerous then. It is now, but it was even more dangerous what? Back then. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. Why did the Prophet ﷺ travel? ما يعني أسباب سفره عليه الصلاة والسلام في الغالب أسفاره كانت إما في قتال ولا
أو التجارة
حج عمرة ولا. In most cases the Prophet only traveled for what? Fighting or Hajj and Umrah. So إذا خاف قوما يعني when he was traveling. Alright. The second point, al-qarina min al-hadith, Allahumma inna naj'aluka يعني أعداء. هم إيش؟ هم أعداء. أما في المدينة فالغالب أن يكون هناك سلام يعني في عهد مع اليهود مثلا المنافقون قد أخفوا نفاقهم ولهم السلطة على المشركين. Alright, the Prophet ﷺ, he made this aggressive dua, proving that those people that he was afraid of, or there was some fear that they were what? Hostile. And in most cases that wasn't in Medina. That wasn't what? That wasn't in Medina. Friend now? Alright, so anything that startles you or causes you to be upset or whatever, this is one of the du'as that you should make. So many Muslims are ignorant of this du'a. I will bet. You ever heard this du'a, Ahmed? Ever somebody make it before? But they would make a dua that the Sheikh made up from this book, from that book, Fadal, this, that, and just put something together and ignore the authentic sunnah. Alright, last thing we benefit from this hadith or from the last points, Allahumma inna naj'aluka fi nuhurihim, is that Islam isn't a religion of pacifism. It's not Islam. Is there peace in Islam? No question. Are there some elements of pacifism in Islam? At times, for sure. Unnecessary fighting, unnecessary bloodshed, unnecessary aggression and oppressing people. It's not from the teachings of Islam. But Islam is not a religion of you just sit and just peace. La, there's what? There's aggression. There's fighting and there's aggression in the dua. Allahumma inna naj'aluka fi nuhurihim. Nahar. Kalam fi ish. Shidda yani. It's an aggressive statement. So Islam is a balanced way. And if you just want to be peace, pacifist, that's fine, but it can't be according to Islam. And just know for sure, just because you want to be peaceful 24/7 doesn't mean that your neighbor is going to be peaceful 24/7. And we've seen that in history. Peace. And then your neighbor, when you're peaceful, what? So it said walk quietly, but with a what? A big stick. Walk quietly. Easy. But what? Carry a real big stick with you. It's wisdom. وَنَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ شُرُورِهِمْ. And we seek your refuge from the evil shows, and it prevents us from being arrogant. And if you think that your enemy is lesser than you, or weaker than you, or inferior to you, and you're invincible, and you're off limits, no one can touch you, it's nothing but a matter of time before your enemy will do that to you. And history has proven that. People who thought that they were invincible, they couldn't lose, they couldn't be touched, they were toppled. Modern history, 20th century, 21st century, as we speak. All the way back then. So that's the first mistake, is underestimating an enemy and scorning an opponent. You're a human being, your blood is blue in your veins, just like it is in theirs. And you can get harmed, just like you can harm them. So you never ever think that I don't bleed. You have soft skin too. The Muslims should learn from this. وَنَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ شُرُورِهِمْ. Khairan, inshallah, we'll stop here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.